Welcome to our first podcast, guys. I'm gonna maybe float the name Double Shot for now. It's gonna be linked, but not straight up bid on adventures. But we're gonna dabble in the podcast stream.
I don't mind it. Podcast, in the podcast zone.
Podcast zone. So we're gonna start doing a little bit more chats rather than me just building and going on adventures, and we're interviewing some unique individuals here and there. Unique. I'd say
unique New York.
I'd say you're different.
I'm definitely different.
Yes. So before we jump into it and have a chats and yarns about what we're going to be talking about, big shout out to Overland for sponsoring this channel. They sponsor Bid On. They're going to be sponsoring Double Shot, and some of the gear they give us to go away with, like this Dometic swag, awesome piece of kit. They are for sale for 40% off, and the box I'm sitting on is the Dometic cargo case. They sell heaps of stuff, and they're showing a lot of support through all the channels that we'll be making over the next couple of months, years, whatever, how far this goes.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to have someone backing you on that end as well, keeping you accountable. So big shout out to Overland, so UES_Overland for their Instagram account. So
cool. Yeah.
So there's the ad. The ad's over. Let's jump in now.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, well, you want to introduce yourself?
So my name's Patrick Searson, and I am a rare character, as Cam like to say. I make a lot of mistakes, but I do a lot of things mediocrely well as well. So I got into camping when I was a little kid. I was, I think 10 or even younger. Maybe I was 8, like year 4. My parents took me camping. It was actually my dad and my older brothers. We went camping down south of Batesman's Bay, which was awesome. I think it rained for the whole week, but really good bonding time. And I just remember setting up the tent, and you remember those old big triangle tents?
Yeah.
With all of the big poles you had to put up. I reckon it took us about an hour to actually put this tent up. And like the first time, there's no real instructions.
The old school way would have been crazy.
Yeah, it had 2 rooms,
Yeah.
It was huge. It was crazy big. And there were the stretchers we had to set up. We had bunk bed stretchers, and they were the most uncomfortable things I've ever slept on.
Basics of it all.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then my dad had a old Falcon, and this is an off-road track, and Dad's just sending his off-road. It was a company car, so he sent it up.
Everyone knows what that feels like. Company.
Yeah, there's a 45-degree hill, wet, and Dad's just absolutely giving it to get it up, and the car was definitely stuck. So that was my first experience having to snatch a car out. And back then, well, now I sound old. Back then, I'm not even sure snap straps were a thing back then. I think we just had a couple of ropes to pull up this Falcon up the hill. So
you were born and raised into camping?
I was, and I loved it. I didn't change my shirt for a whole week. There was a big thing in my family. I had this parrot shirt that I didn't change that whole week, and apparently it stank and was all muddy, and I had fish guts all over it. Yeah, nothing's
changed. It's still the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, we are camping right now, hence the backdrop. The sea devil we have is tied up out there on the buoy. We've been swimming in and out. We've been here for 3 days already. This is going to be our 3rd night. We leave tomorrow morning. So hence why we're doing the podcast here with the awesome backdrop, and we're going to be talking obviously about camping, because that's what our fortes are at the moment.
Yeah, forte. Yeah.
I wasn't raised in camping. I just kind of fell into it when I got a little bit older. I think my first camp was when I was 17. Went with my mate's family. I hated it. It sucked. Didn't like it. But then I actually worked with Pat back in the day, and he had a 4-wheel drive. I didn't, and then I got a 4-wheel drive, and we started camping together. And ever since then, I've always camped out of a car, gone touring, and building from there. And this is probably the most basic setup I've ever had. In the last 10 years I've been doing this now.
Yeah.
I've never done a trip like this without a car, something hectic, roof conversion, freestanding awning, whatever.
You've always liked your luxury.
I do. I think that's what makes camping challenging for me, because I actually didn't like it when I was younger. I never was raised up that way, but when I went on my first trip, I hated it. I think what I like is the challenge of making something hard comfortable.
Yeah.
So hence why I buy a car, I'll fit it out, I'll build all this stuff to make it really easy to live out of.
How many times have you fit out the Trippy now?
Trippy's done 4 or 5 fit outs. I think I finally got it down pat. Between my opinion and my girlfriend's opinion and the dog's opinion.
This is his second Trippy too.
This is my second Trippy. So the first one wasn't good enough in my opinion. I had to get a roof conversion one. And then we decked that out, we use it, it's overkill, absolutely luxury right there. And then now we're camping with the 80, which keeps me modest with the swag. And then this trip, we're camping out of the boat. I've only camped out of the boat once, and that was my tinny. And now we're camping out of the Sea Devil. and we've been building that up to make that comfortable, which is pretty comfy now.
It's pretty comfy.
Yeah, it was a piece of crap when I first got that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got nice floors, nice seat, captain's chair, deckie's chair. We got a bait tank now. So that's my purpose of why I like to do stuff outside and make it easier, so I can do it more often. Because if it's hard, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
what are the bare basics you think you need?
For what, camping or?
Just like getting off and going camping. What are the bare basics?
Honestly, you just got to have something to sleep in, an esky and shade.
Yeah, something to cook off though. Like,
Yeah.
you need a cooker. Like even like that, we've got a little.
The generic little cooker where you put the gas thing and crank it down.
Yeah, they're not very expensive. So
I got that for free. It came with like when I bought the pantry for the 80.
Yeah,
it was so crap that they want to give them away for free.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you need one of those. You need a shade. Shade's necessary. Like right now, our shade's gone up and down everywhere. But if we didn't have this shade right now, we couldn't do this. We'd have to be.
We'd be sitting on the boat.
Yeah, we would be sitting on the boat. That's right.
So, and it still doesn't hold out all the heat. Like it's still warm under it, but it's enough to be like it's good enough to be like sit under.
So like good shade. So you need a good shade. So like a silver one or something that's going to reflect the light, not like these see-through ones.
I paid $60 for this thing, so you get what you paid for, especially in the camping industry or four-wheel driving. You know, nothing good is cheap. But you can get really good stuff secondhand, which I found out I've been doing a lot of. Everything's secondhand.
Yeah, marketplace. You're good at marketplace.
I am good at marketplace. Bought all my vehicles from it, except for the Troopy. I got my boats from it, and even the boat seats, all that.
Yeah.
So just got to pick and choose your mods to make things easier. But that's my like sort of forte in regards to why I do what I do. Is just challenge to make things easier so I can do it more often. Because it's tiring. This shit's hard. That's why people don't do it as much.
Yeah.
Like loading, I was packing the boat, you know, at what, 3 a.m. to make this trip happen.
That's true.
And I was working on the boat till midnight because I was behind schedule preparing it for this trip. So it's not like, oh yeah, just pick it up, drive and go.
A bit of preparation goes a long way though.
It does. It does. Like if I had all my vehicles fully kitted out and decked out, just sitting there with you'd have to have almost 3 of everything in every car. But it's not. You're always going to one to swap over, back and forth. And before you know it, you spend like 2 hours, 3 hours packing. And then you got to unpack and clean and wash. Like, there's all the stuff you don't see behind Instagram, or those crazy I traveled Australia, or the highlight reels is all
I traveled Australia, I never watched. What are you talking about?
What, you or the car? Both. That's Pat right there. So you would have seen Pat in the early episodes on Bid On. Say early, I've only done like 10 episodes or something. Probably the first ones was the fishing comp up at for the pelagic fishing comp. Yeah, so you would have seen him in the background. He's the good gaff man. Right?
Cam didn't even know how to shoot the GoPro in the correct format.
Yeah, the whole thing was on the wrong crop, so it was like half screen. And everyone's telling me zoom in. I can't zoom in because he's gonna look at one hand the whole time. So I'm not tech savvy. At all.
You're becoming it.
I'm getting there slowly.
Yeah, you'll get there.
My editing skills take a long time. It's always a little bit after work, here or there when I get content.
Yeah. It takes time. It takes time. It's all skills.
But
acquisition.
Everyone always says, if I can do it, you can do it, you know, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, if I can edit a video and I barely know how to turn on a computer or rent, I struggle to honestly do emails to corporate. So for me to able to edit a video, film, do this, realistically, anyone can.
Yeah.
You just got to obviously find the time to do it.
Yeah. All right, I've got one. What's your next trip coming up that you're looking forward to?
Oh, we'll go back to that first pelagic fishing comp. That's
true.
in April.
We got that coming
up. That's 10 days fishing. That's unreal. And we just go to a house. Yeah. We have luxuries. We're like 2 minutes from the boat ramp, chuck it out, and we normally come in around 3, and then we just don't even really wash the boats. We just flush the motors. So we're going out again, and we just chill.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no distractions, and we don't clean the house really until the last couple of days. Yeah, but we're not making a mess.
No, that's a good way. We're not home.
That's the simplest form of like non-stop fishing.
Play some basketball.
Yep.
You'll lose to me in some basketball.
Please, I'm the champion at that, FYI. But that's probably the next trip I'm really excited for. Hence all the progress on the Devil, because that's when it's going to get used the most. So I always say, if you're going to do something that requires a lot of mods, do it straight away so you can enjoy it. You know, I did my mods on my Troop. It's so slow with the armrest, the seats for comfort, the center console fridge. I should have just done that straight from the start and enjoyed it from day one.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do with the boat. Just speed it up, get everything I want done for it. So 10 days straight.
That's a good tip for people.
Yeah. It costs money.
Just lay it out. Just get it done.
Like, you don't need portals. You don't need like a 4-inch lift. You don't need all this crazy stuff first. But just the luxuries that you use every day when you're driving around town.
Yeah.
and they are like, oh, I don't need a center console fridge, but do it, right? And you don't need an armrest, but you just do it because it makes it a daily car that's enjoyable. That's how I've always found it. So
do you really need a center console fridge though?
I don't use it often as a fridge unless I go to the shops, and then I'm like, oh, I'll put the meat in there while I drive around town and whatnot. But it is a really good armrest and cup holder.
What's the most useful mods then?
Useful?
Yeah, like as in what makes it the most comfortable inside the car?
Oh, the seat and the armrest, really.
Yeah, seats.
That's it. Like, you don't need the flashy steering wheel. You don't need the flashy center console, like cups and that. You don't need that, but you kind of want it. But what I would say you do need is the arm support and a comfy seat. Like the aftermarket seat, day one. That's what I'd probably do with the 70 series.
I'd have to say Apple CarPlay. My old Troopy didn't have Apple CarPlay, and like I actually really enjoyed not having that screen there. But now I have the Ranger, big downgrade, I know, but having that screen there with Waze, life changer.
That is true. I have
so many more points now.
Yeah, I've changed it to CarPlay, and I've also changed the 80 to CarPlay.
And it's a really simple, good mod, especially like if you're off-roading and like you look through maps. I remember when I was traveling to Australia, I didn't have that, and legit, I didn't even have a phone holder for my phone. It was just going on the dash, and I'd have the maps up and like, oh yeah, I think I know where I'm going. I made it to places though. I made it. I'm alive.
It just goes to show you don't need much, you don't need everything, but you got to have the right gear.
Well, my Troopy that I traveled to Australia, so I traveled for Australia for 8 months by myself, me and my dog, and it was bare basics. So like I got the car 3 weeks before I left.
Yes, yeah.
Bert and I, who was meant to be here, decked out the back of the car in 1 day. Obviously, he's got his own workshop and he's got all the tools. So that made it very handy. But still, I did that 1 day and it was rough. Like it wasn't anything fancy, but I did 8 months in it. In a single little bed with me and my dog.
Dream.
Yeah, it was a dream. I mean, it was so like nothing went wrong with it. It was so simple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. If you have something that goes that way and doesn't, stuff up on you of any pair work, it's so stressful.
I probably should have invested into a better second battery though. My second battery let me down a few times.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of my fridge.
So that's hard because it does get really hot. When you're doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and like I had a big fridge. Like I had an 80-liter Angle, which is an awesome fridge, but chewed through the power. So like some days I just had to run the car just for that. Yeah,
I've done that many times at camp too.
Yeah,
you don't realize your battery's going until it's gone when you're using it.
Yeah. So I would have invested in that definitely. That
is one. So we are on a trip for Bit On, and we're filming an episode for Bit On. So we are doing 3 nights. Was it 4 nights? 3 nights. 3 nights, 4 days on this island, and we've been fishing the whole time.
It's been really windy though. It
hasn't been the best conditions, but it has been the good conditions at the same time.
Yeah, like it's been the best of
both
bad conditions, probably. Like we should have planned it better and done different fishing styles. So when we got here on the Wednesday, it was much nicer. The sea was much nicer. We probably should have pushed for the fad.
Gone wide, but we didn't. We stayed in close.
Yeah, we actually went for marlin that day, trolling skirts because there'd been a lot of marlin caught, and then we talked to our mate and realised that they're only getting them on slimies and like, should have done that. And,
so we had high expectations on this trip about coming home with full eskies, put it that way, and we've caught 2 fish we've been able to eat.
Yeah.
And then we got a lot of bait in the esky, but that's it. We're not taking anything home.
We've caught a lot of junk.
It's been entertaining. It hasn't been a slog. It hasn't been hard.
No.
Driving to the fad today was a 2-hour trip. Then we didn't fish it. We turned there and back was an hour each way, and then we turned around, used a lot of fuel for nothing.
Yeah, not with that sort of chop. You're not going to fish it.
No, it was
not on a 5-meter boat anyway.
No. But why don't you tell them about your honest opinion about the boat?
Now we're recording.
Recording right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did say I was bad at tech. My battery died. We had to use a different, what are we using, a DJI, is it?
Yeah, DJI.
And then I turned it on, I don't know how to use it, and I've set it to photo. And we've been talking for like 15 minutes to each other, and there's been a photo. So, here we are, something that's only meant to be like 20 minutes, taking us like a good 40.
Yeah, we did well. We really need to go fishing too.
I know, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But we were just talking before the camera died about an honest opinion of the Sea Devil, because a lot of my followers lately have been more active based off the boat build, the boat trips, fishing, than what I have been with the Troopy and the 80 going camping. Now, Pat's been on a lot of boats all his life.
Yeah.
He was he came down and test drove the boat with me and inspected it before I even saw it and said buy it. So he has been on this boat, but that was 2 minutes. That was a 2-minute handover. It was horrendous weather. It was raining. Just signed the paperwork and we left. I've been using it. I'm happy with it, but I wanted it, your honest opinion.
Yeah.
You'd be technically the third party, no favourites.
Yes.
Here.
So I've been on a lot of different boats,
Yeah.
and by far, it's like you're driving with a knife under the boat and you just go dead straight. And I tried to explain this to Chloe last night, but she just didn't get it. She was just
Chloe,
like,
your girlfriend.
Chloe's my girlfriend,
Yeah.
and she was just like, cool, that's so nice. I'm so happy. I'm like, you don't get it.
You don't understand.
It just stays straight. Like, boats don't do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like so like wowed by how well it handles, especially for such a small boat. Like they're not a big boat at all. But man, like it feels so safe. It doesn't roll to any side when you're driving. It doesn't dig its nose in. It just keeps on going.
The only flaw I'd say is that it wants to jump.
It does.
It does.
You've got to get the trim right.
Yeah, shooting out of the hole from the bottom, like out, is one. You've got to trim that correctly. And two, if you're not paying attention, you could easily send it and the prop coming out. Very easy.
Oh, it wants to go fast. Like,
But that doesn't matter. If you don't have anything on the boat that could break or fly at the back like rods, then go for it. Because at the moment, the boat always lands tail and then head. So it's really soft and falls into it. Doesn't go smack bang and causes a bit of a jar. So there's not too bad if it does jump.
Yeah.
I'm almost contemplating calling the boat Skippy.
We've done some big days though in it, and at the end of the day, we usually get off and you feel quite rocky and you're like,
Yes.
I
haven't
more
noticed
tired.
it. Yep.
I have not been anywhere near as tired on this boat.
Yes.
Nowhere near.
I haven't come back to camp and had like the spills.
Yeah, no.
So that is one. I've never had that on this boat. I've never vomited on this boat, and I vomited on every single boat I've been on.
Yeah, in calm weather too.
In calm weather. I've actually vomited sitting on a surfboard in the swell, waiting for a set. So it was a stormy sort of swell, but I haven't vomited yet. There's days it's challenged me, like this morning and yesterday afternoon.
You're still learning how to drive it though, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to drive it with pace because it needs speed. Like it needs speed to be able to cut the water, and obviously every swell is different, and so like you've got to, once you've driven it more and more, you'll know, okay, I need to actually drive this a bit harder so it actually does what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
And like even I was playing around with it yesterday, and I think we're going about 26 knots at one stage, and Cam's just holding on for dear life as we're just cutting through like.
This is at sea.
This is at sea.
This is not just like through the heads around. We're way out.
In 1.5 meters swell, I would say. Like where we were, there was a bit of swell, and it was just chopping. I was like, oh yeah, I was just comparing between 22 and 26.
I pushed it to 30
yeah,
knots.
you pushed it to 30.
On the way back in, following's a lot easier with these boats. They do like that. So I got 30 out at sea, and
it's really impressive in a following sea. Like I'm usually in a following sea, every boat it starts, they kick around their ass a bit, and they're harder to control. This is just like, let's go with it. Like it's like you're riding every single wave, but the nose stays up perfectly with it. It's just so beautiful.
So this is what I mean about falling back to making things better. So both times I sold my 2 other boats, I had the other boat in my front yard. So
what did your girlfriend say when she first saw this in the?
It was ugly. She just goes, I pulled in the driveway, and she hadn't seen any photos of it, and she's like, interesting, and then walked away. And as I pulled in the driveway, my other boat, the big Viking, nicely clean, washed, clears, everything looked really good aesthetically, sitting right there. And then this thing was all chip paint, horrible, dirty old 2-stroke motor on it. But decking it out and making it very easy to fish out of and not being worn out and tired, I get to do it more often. So that goes back to the troopy, the 80, how we camp, having all the best of the best stuff. It technically is taken away from that getting back to nature, and you still have your glamping stuff, but frequency is where it's at. Yeah. I don't need to come out once every 6 months and rough it. I need to come out more often, because at the end of the day, this is like a hobby, right?
Yeah. I think there's a really good point in there where it's like you've gone and done the research into what is the best basics. So like the 80s are solid, and for 1HD FTE engine, so the most solid engine you can get. So you've done the research there. A Troopy is almost indestructible, with a V8. Maybe if you got a 1HD there, it would have been even better. But, you know, indestructible, and now you've got the Sea Devil,
Yes.
which is an Ulladulla build, and they're meant to be pretty much indestructible too.
Yeah, it took me a while to find that particular hull. So I try and finesse each category I work in.
Yeah, well, you think about, like, if you do the research into the bare bones of something, you can have it for a very long time, and then you can make, like, they might come out of the box pretty ugly, and, you know, you might need to do a bit of work to them, but if you get the right bare bones, man, you can make something.
I agree. It's like finding the right patrol, and then I found the right Toyota to compare for that would be the 80.
Yeah.
The best touring car for me, I think, would be a Troopy, but not just a Troopy, a roof-converted Troopy.
Yeah.
And now I need a boat that I don't get seasick in, and I like to drive hard and fast, and I don't really like to anchor. I got that, and I found out it was a really old model that I wanted, so I could walk around the edges. It was all certain things I wanted about it. And then, yeah, so...
Yeah.
I think that's how you want to, if you're going to do something like this, like camping and going on adventures and camping on an island or traveling Australia, is, you know, do your research, find what you really need, quality stuff to make it more accessible for you to go do it. Not because it's cool or fashionable, because the rims look good, but
don't go cheap just for the sake of going cheap.
Yeah.
Like, actually do research into, like, what it is that makes something good.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, even if a four-wheel drive, like, even though those old Pajeros, like, if you had no money, I'd probably go for an old Pajero because they are just on the road. Like, you still see heaps of them.
Yeah, correct.
And so, like, that's what I think of, like, cheap four-wheel drives. I go, like, oh, I'd probably get a Pajero if I
even the real old Hiluxes.
There's all, the 90, they stay on the road. Yeah.
I don't know exactly why. I'm not
they
really
might be
a
a
Hilux
bit
fan,
slow.
but they still
Mate,
they
isn't
still
your
float.
80 a Hilux?
Huh?
Isn't your 80 a Hilux?
Yeah, my brother-in-law saw my chopped 80 with an FT in it and goes, oh, I really like your Hilux. I was like, God. Yeah, that one hurt, you know. A non-car guy giving me a car compliment means nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wrap it up, eh? Let's go fishing.
You want to go fishing?
Yeah, I want to go fishing.
Oh, you don't want to talk to them anymore?
No,
they're done?
They're done.
Okay.
Cut them off.
All right. Well, we actually have work to do. We have to get some fish for tonight.
Yeah.
We only got 1 meal left.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're going to start doing podcasts. We'll try and get different people on the show all the time, and we'll try and film in unique situations.
It's kicking me off already.
Yeah, well, you can come on. We can do one tomorrow if you want. But unique situations like this, island camping doesn't come up often, so we thought, why not? Let's just start with a really cool destination on something we've never done. Like, you've never camped on an island before?
No.
No, and I've never camped on an island before, let alone just using our own boat and going really basic camping. So, anyway, I'm glad you guys, you know, got involved with this and was able to see the first ever episode of a double shot. All right.
Whatever it's going to be
Whatever it's going to be called. It's not going to be Bid on Adventures podcast. That is a different platform. That is actually Adventures and Building.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually
Keep an eye out for our shirts.
Yes.
This
actually,
is next level.
You tell them what we're wearing.
So these are merino shirts, okay? So merinos, obviously, you know, you might have seen it if you've gone to the snow or something like that. You might wear this as an underlayer, but the really cool thing about them is they're hot and cold, and so you can get different thicknesses. So what we're experimenting with currently is going a really thin layer for just a fishing shirt.
We can't give them all the details.
No, not all the details, but, like, you know, a few. And we've found to be super cool.
Yeah.
And easy to dry. They feel nice in the skin, and they're warm when it's, like, early in the morning when it's a bit cold.
Yeah, the breeze isn't getting through them.
The other thing is they're very good with the sun. Like, this is super thin. So he's got the thin one on currently. I've got a thicker one on, and I know it's black, but it's black and it's not even that hot out there.
No, you don't know it's a black t-shirt or black whatever. But we are prototyping them on this trip because, you know,
we want them to be good.
We want them to be good. We want to have our own camping fishing shirt label and clothing brand. And at the moment,
we want them something different too. Like, we don't want the same old polyester rubbish that everyone else is wearing. Like, one, you're just putting more plastics into your body. That's going to ruin your testosterone. We could go down that rabbit hole if you want, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
You also they say they're taking plastics out of the ocean, but are they really? Like, you can't.
Yeah, plus they're branded with a whole bunch of stuff on your shirt that you might not support.
It's just rubbish.
And same with, like, the kids' clothing in it. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I just don't think we need more polyester stuff. Like, people are already having enough troubles with the endocrine system, so.
That's a big word.
Okay, with your hormones, let's put it that way.
So anyway, we are wearing these shirts non-stop for 4 days straight. 4 days. Yeah, 4 days straight. And we've been fishing in it, we've been sweating in it, we've jumped in the water with them. Now, there's one thing I can tell you right now about these shirts is when you dry off from swimming in the salt and, you know, by the third day, no showers or anything, you will have that gritty salt feeling when you put on a shirt. It goes all hard, especially if that shirt's been wet. It goes a bit cardboard-like, right? These do not scratch the skin with the salt or anything like that, make you itchy. They don't go hard from sitting out in the sun, being wet in salt. They actually stay quite soft.
Yeah.
And I can put it on and off almost like a towel. It's really good.
Yeah, it's really cool. But the other thing is they don't smell. They don't hold smell, which is, I don't know how, but
like I've had liveys on me all day and, you know, sweat and stuff. And yeah, no, they're going really good.
I'm going to get my girlfriend to smell it when I get home just to make sure.
That was the whole point of this trip.
I'm going to throw it in the face and like, sniff this.
But that is something we are trying to work on. There's a few, you know, things we've got to change.
Well, we just want to make sure the design's correct first. And we want to make sure that it's as durable as we'd like. Yes. And if it fits all the requirements, then yeah, we'll get it to the market. And I think it's going to be a game changer. Like this hoodie, I don't think it's quite right yet, but I think we'll get there. You know, it's super comfy at night, and in the sun, it's actually really good in the sun.
I've been wearing it underneath my Kubra to protect my ears and neck.
Because it doesn't get too hot. Like I don't feel too hot, but at night, I feel like just comfortably warm as well. So like, I think nice.
we might be onto something. If we can fine tune it, make it a little bit more aesthetic and a little bit more functional in certain aspects, I think we might even have a product to add to Bid On and to Double Shot podcasts. So
and it's not just going to be like merch for the channel. Like it's actually going to be a real product compared to just being merch. Like it's a high end sort of product. It is a high end. You know, like,
merino wool, if you know it, is not cheap.
Yeah,
right? And a lot of it, Australia's the biggest production.
Yeah, they have the most production in the world.
Yeah, of merino. So that's a really cool product to be, you know, wearing is Australian wool.
Yeah, this is Australian wool too. So
it is.
Yeah.
So there you go. This is 100% Australian wool. 100% Australian wool. Yep. So you know you're in quality right there.
Cool. All right.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. So again, thanks to Overland for sponsoring this trip and listening to us talk about our t-shirts.
Yep.
Hopefully you got something from this show and you know, you're a bit more motivated to get out and travel and, you know, work on your rigs and all whatnot, go on your boats. But we're going to continue fishing because we need dinner. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on, Pat. Yep.
Welcome.
All right. Next time.
Thank you.
See ya.